Want to achieve network marketing success? Then you're in the right company. Hello, and welcome to Leave Nothing to Chance, hosted by networking marketing giant, John Solleder. Learn everything you need to know about the network marketing space from somebody who's actually done it. Join us every week for front row seats as we feature some of the finest and most successful personalities in network marketing. Leave nothing to chance. Join us now.
Hey, it is my privilege this afternoon to welcome a long-term friend of mine in the industry from beautiful Ontario, Canada, where we're doing this on Thanksgiving Day in Canada. It won't air here for a few weeks, but Jim, first of all, happy Thanksgiving, and let me formally welcome you, Mr. Jamie Hawley, to the Leaving Nothing to Chance podcast. How are you today?
Oh, very good, John. We've got Georgia weather up here in Canada. It's 75 degrees on Thanksgiving Day.
Wow, nothing wrong with that. So, you know,
the only thing we're lacking is the Blue Jays playing instead of other teams.
Well, I feel the same way. My Yankees didn't hang around too long. They're already on the golf course, you know. But and I lost a bet to a Red Sox fan, and I still owe money to. So that's even worse. But anyway, what are you going to do?
They're looking good.
It's almost hockey season. So
yeah.
Anyway, so you know, I know that you are a long-term student of self-development. What was the first book that really got you that aha moment? What was it?
It was The Greatest Salesman by Og Mandino. And, you know, I mean, the book itself was very kind of inspirational. And because I had no experience in this business, John, no sales experience, no marketing. And reading that book kind of indicated to me that if you want something bad enough, you can figure out how to do it through sales, through whatever. And I really enjoyed the book. It was fairly easy to read, but the concepts were very profound.
Agreed. One of my favorites as well. I have reread that book, I want to say 17 times. And I had on the show a few weeks ago, you probably heard him, Paul Blanchard, who's the president of the Og Mandino Foundation, and quite a great family that runs that. But yeah, one of my favorites as well. Hey, you know, you're even featured in a book, though. I know the new Leave Nothing to Chance book, which I'm the co-author of with Foster Owusu. But when you read that book, what's your favorite principle, and why is that your favorite principle?
I picked principle number 5. I mean, all the principles have a very important place, I think, in our business or any business. But I picked number 5, especially, I guess, looking at my own business, my own life, is the whole concept of commitment. And what I realize is that, you know, we can be committed at certain times and then we kind of lose our commitment, where I've been. And what strikes me with that principle is that once you move away from your commitment, as that principle indicated, you guys indicated, you know, you freeze yourself, you kind of isolate yourself out of the business and out of what you initially wanted to do. So I had my initial commitment. I really enjoyed that chapter, because basically what they're saying is if you don't have a huge commitment, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're going into medicine or into network marketing, what you're going into, without a serious commitment, other things are going to distract you. That was the other part of that principle, is that the distractions are out there, the naysayers and whoever, but if your commitment is really strong, and even though I haven't, you know, got to the top level of the company, I did well in the beginning. Without that commitment, I would have been long gone. And it's helped me stay here. And as a matter of fact, I'm recommitted because of various things in our company, and very happy with everything. And so I'm at my age, I just turned 73, John, if you can believe it. I'm definitely committed to getting this thing going so that I can, I want to go into my latter years feeling financially free and satisfied with what I've done in life.
So let me ask you this. Let's stay on the self-development question. So are there 3 other books? Obviously, The World's Greatest Salesman by Og, Leave Nothing to Chance. But if you were on a deserted island, if today they showed up at your front door, and you probably don't want to leave Canada when it's 75 degrees, right? But
no.
You know what's coming next, right?
Yeah.
the weather up there. And they said, listen, Jamie, we're going to take you to a deserted island, plenty of food, plenty of water. But besides your Holy Bible, you can only bring 3 other books with you. What would those three books be?
I'm glad you said the Holy Bible, because I would take something that's Christ driven, because I think that's become very important in my life in my latter years. But one of the books, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, has been a very impactful book in my life. As a Man Thinketh with James Allen, because again, you look at the book, The Secret, and all these other motivational concepts. The old sayings, what you think about comes about. And I really believe that. And sometimes I've had the problem of thinking too much and not always positive, and those things you bring things to fruition. So that's a huge book. And the other one, The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz, I found a very good book. So, there's a myriad of other books that I've looked at and read, John, but these stand out in my mind.
Great. All great titles, all favorites of mine as well, and probably many of our listeners. So let me ask you this. You've been in the industry now for a quarter of a century.
Right.
And what are the best systems for getting people started today, in your opinion?
Well, I think the best part of the whole system is really finding out what people want, not what we want, but what is the prospect you're speaking to, your new potential business partner, what do they want, and finding out enough about them that what they're potentially capable of, what their true interest is, their true commitment, going back to commitment. And then I think basically right now, with where we are in our business, is using training that's provided by professionals with the company, because those trainings are well designed. And if you're with a good company, I'm sure they're going to have good training. And to me, why reinvent the wheel? Follow what people who have done this teach you.
So let me ask this. Let's get off business for a second. I'm going to come back to a business question in a minute. But yeah. I know you have been to Greece. How many times? You've been to Greece.
I've been there 14 times.
14 times. Okay. I was telling my wife earlier, I said, I think he's been there 14 or 15 times. So
yeah.
Let's talk about Greece for a minute, just as a human interest question. Why Greece so many times as opposed to elsewhere? What's your passion about it? What's your, when you go, what's your favorite places, food, the whole thing?
There's a number of reasons. One of my minors in university was archaeology. And so I had a real affinity toward ancient history, archaeology growing up. And especially today, I intend to travel back to Greece and other places in that area in the Mediterranean. I did find out too that my father's great grandfather in England was married to a Spanish woman, and I could never figure out why I had an affinity toward the Mediterranean. I think now I know why. And if you saw my dad, he looked like he was right off the boat from Italy or Spain. But I enjoy it, John, because of the history of the area. There's so many beautiful places. So if you look at it from an archaeological standpoint, from a historical standpoint, and believe me, we could learn a lot today with what's going on, with what went on back then, when, they talked about too many wars, corrupt politicians, all the other stuff that destroyed a lot of these societies. I love being over there, the history, and a lot of the buildings that were built by the Venetians, the Romans, and the Greeks, 3,000 years. The Parthenon, for example, is still there. It's not intact, but there's many, many, many artifacts in these come out of these areas, and that you could spend a lifetime just going through the museums there, seeing what people created. And the ladies on this call later will really appreciate this. In the island of Crete, there's a place called Knossos, which was 5,000 years old. And that society was run by women until later on men showed up who, militarily took over that area. But that's an area where there's still phenomenal Greek ruins. And but you can find them in Rhodes, which is an island near the Turkish coast, where the Knights of St. John went to fight the Crusades. And so again, the history in all these areas is mind-boggling. I just love it. And aside from all that, the scenery, we have beautiful scenery in North America, but over there, and actually many parts of Greece, remind me of Nevada, New Mexico, those areas, because it's very hot and dry and whatever. But yeah, beautiful. The Aegean Sea, the Mediterranean Sea. I read something on the internet just a while ago where a guy said, if you haven't sailed on the Mediterranean in the summer, then you should before you die. And yeah, I could go there 100 times and see something different and love it.
I was only there once, unfortunately, and I've always wanted to get back. And yeah, to your point, it's like the Parthenon. You go up those stairs and you
Yeah.
realize like you're probably the 10 millionth human being that's walked up those same stairs that have been walked
Yeah.
on since.
John, let me add one quick thing. Right below the Parthenon is another Acropolis, which is the Greek word for rock. And there were a lot of people down on this big rock. And if anybody ever goes there, for a Christian, this is huge. This was the rock where St. Paul Christianized the Greeks. And the history of that is phenomenal. And it's funny, the first time I went to Greece, I was kind of on a mission to see where I was in life and what I was doing. And I went to Turkey, to Ephesus, the birthplace of the Virgin Mary, all this kind of stuff. And when I got back, I showed my trip to a guy and he said, my God, he said, you just did almost the same trip that Paul did when he was trying to find himself. Anyway, that always stuck with me. But so there's so much to see there. It's unreal.
Well, not bad shoes to walk in, certainly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's come back to the industry. And we're living, I don't need to tell you or our listeners for that matter, we're living in some strange times. And I love your parallel to ancient Greece because they lived in interesting times. But we're living in some interesting times just in all the years that we know each other. This last 18 months or whatever it's been now since COVID started have been unique, to say the least, with all of the challenges.
Yeah.
So let me set this question up for you. I'd love your response. So let's just say that there was a 25-year-old young man and a 60-year-old dad, and they're living down the street from you there in Ontario. And the 25-year-old is college educated, smart, good kid, understands technology, understands, all of the stuff that goes on in the world today. Okay. And started his business career right before COVID, right? Got out of school, right? Has all the bills that he's probably still paying, right? To have gone to university. And all of a sudden COVID came along and whatever he was doing, all of a sudden ceased to be done. And dad is in a different predicament because dad is 60. So dad is basically at that point where, going back these couple of years with COVID, he was getting to the end of his working life maybe and thinking of retirement and thinking of all the golf balls he was going to hit or the fish he was going to catch or the whatever it was that he was planning on to do. And then all of a sudden his life kind of got usurped, right?
Mm-hmm.
So dad and the son say, hey, it's Thanksgiving. Jamie's been in that network marketing stuff for a long time. Let's go down and knock on his door, see if he's home, and pick his brain. So why today, if that were to happen, and they knocked on your door this afternoon, and they said, Jamie, tell us why we should get in network marketing. How would it change your life? And more importantly, why should we get in it today? Maybe they have, by the way, maybe they have a negative view of network marketing previously, for whatever reason.
Okay. John, I could answer that in very many ways. When I was a teacher, elementary school teacher, I had a principal who was in probably the largest network marketing company ever and still around. They start with the big A, but he almost drove me crazy. And I swore to God, I would never have anything to do with this industry. Having said that, when life kind of deals you some pretty terrific blows. I found myself in a position where at 47, no job, no income, no pension, nothing. So when Wally introduced me to this, this gave me an option. So if I was talking to the 25-year-old today and looking at where these folks are, these are kids with the biggest thing we're hearing, John, up here, and I'm sure you're hearing it in the States. This is very negative stuff, but it's reality. We have one of the highest suicide rates in Ontario, in our city. And I hear, psychologists, doctors talking about it and say, what is it? And they said, there's no hope for some of these kids or a lot of them. They have education, they've been raised to believe that with an education, the world opens up for them, and the world is not opening up for them. So at a 25-year-old, I would say this can give you options to not be dependent on corporate America, because right now, corporate America, corporate Canada is very fickle. I mean, everything's up and down. Nothing is secure. And nothing is secure here if you don't work. But if you get with the right company, I would say to that 25-year-old, and I've said this actually just in the last couple of weeks, I wish I was 25 again, because where we're headed is a phenomenal ride. And for a 25-year-old who applies themselves, there can be a really good future here where you control your own destiny. You're your own boss. You develop that mailbox income we talked about, residual income. And once people sort of understand that and can understand the fact that we have a legitimate product line, most of our companies are very legitimate. So there's an opportunity for that young person that right now there's not a lot of hope out there unless you're a computer scientist or an engineer or something. So that's what I would say to the 25-year-old. The 60-year-old, and again, both these groups, I would also emphasize the whole concept of immunotherapy, of looking after your immune system and staying healthy. I mean, that's a really obviously vital concern of everybody today. The 60-year-old, probably even more concerned with your health, with what's going on with the pandemic. But also, if you're a 60-year-old and you're either near retirement or you have retired, I mean, for me, I think I'm like a lot of people in our business. I'm not an everyday golfer or boulder or anything like that. So I would emphasize the fact that you can stay healthy. You can develop a part-time income if that's okay with you, or full-time, but you've got full support. And at 60 years of age, you can develop an income if things go the right way and you do the work. Of course, I've got a little sign up in my office here, and it says dreams come true with work. And I mean, that's how it works. So, but with a 60-year-old, absolutely emphasizing health, probably number one. And also, if you want more income, you look at the company, do your homework. You can see that there are opportunities out here to add to your present financial situation. And it's all very legit. The old myths of network marketing not being legit is kind of ridiculous when you think about it, but that's what I would share with people.
Yeah, that's good advice. And of course, the great thing with the 25-year-old is they understand, stuff that I wrestle with anyway. I don't know if you wrestle with it or not, but all the technology. They understand they understand WhatsApp, and they understand Instagram, and they understand Facebook, and they understand all the other. I guess the latest one is TikTok is the new one that everybody and his brother seem to be on, except me. But that's the great thing about that 25-year-old, and the 60-year-old, like you say, Jim, is, for a 60-year-old, if they can supplement their income, their retirement income from whatever they did for a living, plus Social Security or the equivalent there in Canada, what a great way to kind of have multiple sources of income as they get into the later years like you are. And I'm not far behind, so great advice. So let me do my little commercial here, and then I'm going to come back to you with one more question. So my name is John Solleder. The name of the show is Leaving Nothing to Chance. We're on every Tuesday, including at the holidays. Holidays are coming up, and we'll be on Thanksgiving week in the U.S. as well as Christmas week, as well as New Year's. We never miss a Tuesday on this show. Jamie, I've been very pragmatic about every Tuesday having a show for consistency purposes. The name of our books, by the way, Leave Nothing to Chance, which is available in English and Spanish, digital, as well as soft copy on Amazon, also available in Spanish. And you can read more about Jamie Holly and a number of other people in that book and some of the ideas that they use, and also our prior book, Moving Up 2020. So, Jamie, back to you with the last question. So, network marketing changed your life for the better.
Absolutely.
Give me three things that it changed in terms of who you were versus who you are today.
Well, I'm going to be very honest too, because when I started, I was raised in a very serious family, and you've seen the serious side of me. My dad was very, very serious, and probably serious to the point of not being on the level sometimes because he was a military cat. But, and just confidence wise, I realized I grew up even through 28 years of teaching without a lot of confidence. And when I started looking at this business, my sponsor was told, oh, you know, he's too serious. He doesn't have an outgoing personality. He'll never do this. Well, guess what? I learned to change. And that, I think that's the biggest thing with this business is, you know, there's some things you have to change. And you know, I mean, nobody is going to, if you look at a nature thing, nobody wants to put a rabbit or a bunch of rabbits in with a rattlesnake. And if your personality is such that people don't relate to you, you know, you don't come across like you care about them. And I do, I care about people. I see what's going on in the world today with young people. And I just watched a movie called Freedom Writers about kids out of the LA ghettos and slums where a young teacher went to work with these kids and did unbelievable stuff with these kids and showed them that there was hope. And the word hope is so important. So this business, of course, gave me hope because when I saw that we had something that was very viable, very honest and very ethical health-wise, and then that I could make some money with it. And initially, I didn't know whether I could do this or not, but I just kept talking to people and sharing it with people. And as you know, John, I've been part of the Millionaire Earners Club, and the only problem is I keep saying, where did all the money go? But I mean, it's changed my life, and but I had to change. For it to change, I had to change. And I, through the books that we talked about, and even now, I realize that there's times I need to go back and I watch a lot of different people on the internet, motivational speakers and so on. And I have my favorites. Simon Sinek is a guy that I love. He's and he talks about what these young people are facing today in the work environment and about loving what you do. And I'm sorry, but I never really loved what I did till I started working for me and for the people that I was helping. And once I got a hold of that concept, I've never looked back. It's been the best 24 years of my life. And I would never change a minute of it, except that I would try to maintain the commitment level a little more. And you know what? This business is very forgiving because when I go back to work, which I have now, I can recreate a lot more than I've accomplished up to this point, which I intend to do. And people say to me, well, you're 73. Why? You know what? I will be doing this till the big guy upstairs takes me, and I will feel privileged doing it.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jamie, for your words of wisdom this afternoon, and have a great balance of your Thanksgiving Day there in Canada.
I'm going to go out and enjoy the sun because, you know, we don't have much more of that.
I lived in Ontario. I know. I not in October anyway.
I mean, I love hockey, and hockey's coming back. I got a grandson, 11, playing hockey, but I spent 4 months in Georgia last winter and I loved it. So and I brought some people into the business in Georgia.
Well, and that's a great point too, right? I mean, you've been able to travel some and spend some time away from Canada during the bad weather up there. So another great benefit of this industry. Eventually,
John, will be able to go to the Mediterranean. I have a doctor in Athens who can't wait for this to come there.
Great. Thanks so much, Jamie.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Leave Nothing to Chance. If you want to know more about what it takes to succeed in the network marketing space, join us again next week for another amazing episode. For additional resources and to connect with John Solleder, visit leavingnothingtochance.com. Don't forget to leave a review, and we'll see you next time.